I love it. I love it. It's fine with me. First, second, and then anyone wants to say anything, we'll do that. Actually, you know what? Why don't we do? You stand here, and then we'll go out this way. Yeah, we'll try that. Catherine, come on in. Ben, come on in, guys.
She's here.
Who? Oh, yeah, Catherine. Where's Catherine?
Catherine.
Catherine.
Catherine, you stand next to me.
You know what? Let's move this.
We're doing Republican, Democrat. Bipartisan.
There's 3 Democrats right in a row.
I know, well, we don't have enough Republicans. we need to win another election.
We'll see about that.
Yeah, come on in. Excellent. Thank you. Morning. Tell me when you're ready. I did hear the world was driven by Channel 12. I didn't realize.
They got a lot of clout.
They do have a lot of clout.
I guess lack of competition.
Just wait a moment. Not sure Mark's ready. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Board of Legislators. The other night we were talking about a new spirit, a new approach, and today is going to be the embodiment of that. The other night I was given a tie by a friend who said this color might come in handy. She said, you know, if you merge red and blue, you get purple. And so I'm wearing my finest purple tie today, which they also say is good luck and has a certain regality to it. We have a really important announcement and a really wonderful bipartisan announcement. What we have here is the kickoff under the charter requirement and the kickoff under this term of a new leadership and committee-driven structure. This is an announcement that's exciting. It's exciting because for the first time, I believe, in the history of the board, every legislator will be in either a leadership or a committee head structure. And the legislators that are here are either in leadership or are going to be committee chairpeople in the 2014-2015 term. And so the new approach is to make sure that everybody in our parlance has skin in the game, that in all parlance, every legislator has the full opportunity to bring their full skill set and their interests to the fore. And we're doing it on behalf of the people of Westchester, because the goal here is the finest and best possible government, as both the Vice Chair and I shared the other night, and each and every one of us in running for office and being given the honor of being elected and reelected, bring down to White Plains. So I'm very proud to announce that we have the committees for 2014-2015. This is the embodiment of bipartisanship. This is the sharing of power. The committee structure is where the work is done, through the committees. It's not necessarily in this room, it's down in the committee room. And around that table, we sit, we negotiate, we talk, we try to see if we can come to some kind of agreement. And that's where the work is done. And that's where the people's business is, in fact, done and effectuated. And so this sharing of power is very, very important. So step one, each and every legislator will have an active role. Step two, we're building this committee structure from the bottoms up, if you will, the bottom up, if you will. The bottom up is a portfolio-driven committee structure. That means that we've taken every executive department, whether it be the public administrator or the Board of Acquisition and Contract, all the way through Public Works and Social Services, from the smallest to the largest executive department, and we've assigned every one of those departments and every one of those offices, Office for Women, Office for Youth, to one of these committees. And the reason we've done that is we're creating a connection, a nexus, some kind of working relationship whereby the commissioners understand on a primary basis who they're working with, and the chairs of the respective committees, the substantive committees, recognize, in fact, that this relationship gives them a chance to vet issues before them, and also, and most importantly, deal with policy making. Because we're not just a reactive body. The best of us are proactive, looking for policy into the future. And that's an opportunity, in fact, then, with that relationship to do that. Now, the two charter committees, the three charter committees remain, of course. Budget, appropriations, we have legislation, and we have committee on appointments. Those committees are mentioned in our charter, and they retain their portfolios for their normal jurisdiction, if you will. So all financial matters, of course, will go to the Budget Committee. But a normal Monday morning will be a Capital Projects Committee through Mike Smith in Economic Development, who will meet perhaps at 9:30, be joined by Budget and Appropriations at 10, and the third seat will be held by the Substantive Committee. Let's say it's a parks issue, Playland, a bond that might be requested out there. That chair and that committee will then join up with, and then perhaps other chairs will join up with. So efficiency, accountability, and ownership from these committees, and a good working relationship with therefore through to the executive branch. Now, we also have some besides the committees, and the committees are listed: Budget, Appropriations, Legislation, Economic Development, Capital Projects, Mike Smith, Infrastructure, actually named by Legislator Shimsky, when she said, you know what, how about? And she has had, and this is the perfect proof of a legislator that has, among so many other issues that she's been in touch with and working on the issues of our infrastructure, our roads and bridges, and has a novel concept that maybe it's best when you drive under a bridge, it doesn't perhaps fall on you as you drive by. Labor, parks, planning, and housing. Legislator Harcum, who is an experienced legislator, and he's going to be working with, right off the bat, the issue of Playland, one that we need to resolve, and we will resolve. The proper the proper entity and the proper role for this public-private partnership. Community Services, Alfreda Williams, who has devoted her career to, and this is a very, very large committee with a very, very big portfolio, but it fits within her skill set and her interests. Public Safety, David Gelfarb, seniors and constituencies. Couldn't think of who to put in charge of this particular committee. We took a lot of recommendations, and at the end of the day, a name popped up, Bernice Spreckman, and we just thought, you know, there's some maybe natural nexus. She's someday will be a senior. We figured at this point, let her have that particular committee, because she'll know in the future what it'll be, and she is spry as ever. Appointments, Legislator Boykin. We have a Federal and State Affairs, Ken Jenkins, who will help us with and certainly has incredible contacts. He along with our Majority Leader and our Vice Chair, some other legislators were in Albany yesterday, and he just embodies, he gives us the power in an environment where we do not have a lobbyist for ourselves. We don't have the resources, and we are the lobbyists. That's what we do with our connections. He can focus that for us. And then final, 20% of our revenue approximately comes from federal and state affairs, so it's only appropriate that we keep an eye on that. We have the Law Committee. This was a committee that the Vice Chair and the Majority Whip and Mr. Burrows, the Minority Whip, and I believe John Nona had very successfully given us a template a few years ago, particularly when we were dealing with the settlement, the housing settlement, and the details of it. And so this is a committee that I'm hoping will meet on an ad hoc basis, but really get down to using their legal experience and their legislative experience, the opportunity to help us on litigation. Environment and energy, very excited. We have a newcomer to us, but not certainly to government, Legislator Parker, who is already hitting the ground running on a lot of environmental issues and energy issues, and I'm still hoping for an energy czar someday. Whether you spell it with a T or a C, I still think it has some value, but we will, that's maybe an idea I take and write in my book. We'll see if we can actually effectuate it. We have the Rules Committee, which of course is very important and really the guts of this particular, our legislative effort, and will continue. The other piece that's important to announce today are the task forces. The task forces are responsible to the chair and obviously through to the full directorship, to all 17. These can be driven by chronology, issue, interest. We have 4 at this particular point, but it's an accordion. Other legislators at times during the session can indicate there's an interest area and they want to elevate it and really just focus on this. It has an opportunity to, by definition, bring in citizens, not just legislators. So you can bring in advocates in the community. We can bring in people who have demonstrated leadership in these areas. Hispanic Affairs Task Force, co-chaired by Virginia Perez and Vice Chair Jim Maizano. The Charter Commission Review Task Force, co-chaired by Gordon Burrows. And we have, this is not Old Timers Day, this is Young Timers Day. We have back with us Number three, we have back with us Richard Wishney. Richard has never really left, fortunately, because in guidance and experience and friendship, really, I think to a person, he continues to give that all to us and to the institution, the love of it. He was one of the was the chair of the Charter Commission that, in their recommendations, we have a period of time, I believe it's 5 or 5.5 months, to, by our charter, accept, discuss, and then come to some kind of resolution. And so I've asked Legislator Burrows and Legislator Wishney to co-chair that effort for us and to educate us as legislators and to get us up to speed on, and then give us a chance to perhaps triage these issues. This makes so much sense. Let's do it. These recommendations are wonderful, but maybe not quite doable, and maybe these are some recommendations that we can work with and negotiate. So much more to come on that, but Mr. Wishney has agreed to co-chair that. Minority Affairs, Legislators Boykin and Perez will chair that as well, and it could be African American Affairs, it could be any number of our wonderful constituencies. At some level, we are all covered by a constituency for sure in this county. We want to make sure that the full fabric of Westchester County is covered, but more importantly, feels that they have a place at the Westchester County Legislature and that, in fact, are welcome at the Legislature. And so that's so important. And then Families Task Force, we have every November and December the very, very necessary discussion of dollars to need, social service considerations, and so very often they touch families. Legislator Noto in the past had a committee on families. I think it was Legislator Bronze as well, perhaps had joined. And so it would be a chance to, again, bring in the advocates and not just wait till November and December during our budget time, but to be able to, in fact, start that policy discussion now. And so that's very, very important. So with the fine leaders that we have, the majority and the minority, with all 17 now in a leadership role or in a committee role, with task forces that allow us to hit the ground running, we have an opportunity then to, through the focus and the goal, be able to bring the best possible government to the people of Westchester County. And again, the emphasis is on discussion, negotiation, and legislative skill. I will add one last piece and then turn it over to our vice chair, to our leaders, and any committee chairs that would like to, in fact, discuss. First, the committee membership itself is being discussed. I've asked both leaders that once we set a number per committee, that they will then work with the legislators based on time, based on interest, to figure out exactly who would be the members on those committees. The chair does sit on every committee, and my couch is well enough, big enough, I think, to sleep on. So I will be spending a lot of time and do intend to go to a lot of the committee meetings that are here. Secondly, I've asked every committee chair to come up with a vice chair, and to do that of the opposite party. Legislator Myers, actually in the previous term, had started that tradition, and I thought it was quite fine. Legislator Marcotte was the vice chair, and it gave a certain amount of opportunity to some leadership and an opportunity for have a backup if, in fact, the chair is not available. And then I'm also asking each committee to have, obviously in organizational fashion, set up their quorum, get started, dive in, work on and set up two things: a committee blueprint and subcommittees. Committee blueprint, which we did under Mr. Latimer a number of years ago, when we can pull them out so each and every legislator can look at a template from the past, would set out the goals and the means to achieve those goals for every one of the committees. Very important, because unless you know what you're looking to do, how do you know whether you did what you were supposed to be looking to do? So, like in life, you need a goal and then a means to get there, and then, frankly, a report card that we can understand whether they achieved what they were looking to achieve. Subcommittees, again, Mr. Latimer and some other chairs of the past, were an opportunity. These are committees that are posted to the committees themselves, these subcommittees. So when we were on the Environment Committee, we had one on Long Island Sound, we had one on the airport, we had household chemicals, we had a fourth one, open space, I believe, or farmland, watershed, that's right. And so each of the subcommittees will, as they deem appropriate, the committee chairs, as they deem appropriate, will set up subcommittees. CBAC, for example, is something that will likely continue. The Citizens Budget Advisory Committee, that would be posted, of course, and established by the legislator, the chair of Budget Appropriations. And then we have Mr. Harcum has indicated he'd like to continue under Legislator Parker, the subcommittee on, I believe, watershed and septic remediation and the like. So, with that said, here's our structure. Here are the leaders that can join us today. At this point, I would ask, one last thing if I could, cost. To the people of Westchester County, to this structure and to the overall structure, we cannot spend one more dollar than we have been budgeted. So all the actions that we've taken for committee chairs and as we roll out the staff and reorganize on the most efficient lines, the promise is that we will be bringing it in on budget, and the hope is actually savings for the people of Westchester County, because that's a very financial consideration. It's their money, and we have to, of course, be mindful of our constituents, our shareholders, if you will. So, with that said, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. You know, one of the themes of putting together this new board for the new term, I think of that movie titled Back to the Future. What I mean by Back to the Future is Michael and I have been here together for 16 years. And we're kind of drawing upon some of the best ideas we've seen from different chairs over 16 years. And a good example of that is this committee structure. Michael and I, from the first meeting we had when we discussed running together as chair and vice chair, said, if we could win, if we could be chair and vice chair, the first thing we want to do is make sure every legislator feels like they're part of the leadership of the board. And that is why today you see this board where every legislator on this board is either in the leadership or chairing a committee. So everybody feels like they're part of the team. We can work together better as a team to move the county forward. And as Michael said, this isn't new, what we're doing today. You know, the name Latimer was mentioned. Most legislators, when George Latimer was the chair, Democrat or Republican didn't matter, were chairs of committees or in leadership. So we're going back. This was back to Steve Tenor and George Woros. Many of the things that we're doing here, we've seen other chairs do very, very well. Another example of that, as Michael started again to, I just want to put a little bit extra note to this. Citizens, as Dick Wishney is here today, sat on subcommittees and task force in the past. This was done I was the chair of the Long Island Sound subcommittee. That was only people that joined me on that committee were citizens, people up and down the Sound Shore that cared about Long Island Sound related issues, and we did that for a decade, that committee, and it was tremendously successful. I mean, we even, just to show you how excited the citizens were to be on that committee, to spread the word about how people can change their behavior to stop non-point source pollution. We got leaflets made up for that committee. We went to the concerts up and down the Sound Shore and leafleted people at the concerts. They can learn more how they can help clean up the environment and not negatively impact non-point source pollution. And trust me, they were much happier to get that leaflet than some politician's leaflet. And we had 20, 30 people would go to the concerts that were part of that committee. So not only are we going to get all the legislators involved with our new board leadership, but we're going to bring citizens in to get involved as well. You know, this is really, as I said, it's back to the future. We're trying to take a look at all the different things we saw, the committee blueprints. That was, again, George Latimer did that. I saw him at the State of the State yesterday. I told him we were going to do his blueprints. He was all excited, Legislator Latimer. But that's a committee should have a plan going forward. What is this committee going to accomplish? What's its plan for the next 2 years? That's the blueprint structure. So, you know, the buzzwords on Monday night continue today. Professional government, bipartisan government, collegial government, and then the two important C's, compromise and consensus. This board, the way it's set up, including all the legislators as part of the team, is going to work very well together to achieve compromise and consensus to move our county forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair and Mr. Chairman. I think one of the most interesting things about this committee structure is that it really does encourage, as our chair alluded to, every legislator to bring their A game to the role of legislating. Everyone has a stake. Everyone needs to make sure that they are on top of all the issues under their jurisdiction, but also because we will have committee assignments that will have very enriched opportunities to direct policy, to provide the legislative oversight that is the responsibility of the legislature. We will have, I'm hoping that we will have a very engaged legislature where everyone is engaged in the policymaking decisions, the budgetary decisions, and of course the legislative oversight that is critical, the critical goals of our legislative body. I also am appreciative of the fact that we will work together as we do not only the composition of the committees, but going forward, that there's an opportunity for many legislators to participate in the goal setting and in the actual direction that the committees do take. So I think that this is going to be a very good year where we have a lot of success in our legislative body, and I'm looking forward to working with all of my colleagues, in particular our newer colleagues, as they jump on board to this brave new world. So thank you very much.
Good morning, and thank you very much. First of all, let me commend the chairman and the vice chairman for, as you can tell, was a very well thought out, a lot of planning and thought went into this whole plan, and it's come together in a way, they say, not new to them, but for everyone else standing here today, it's new to us to have this kind of a structure for our board, and we're looking forward to it because, as they say, everyone is involved. Doesn't matter if you are a Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter if you've been here for many years or if you're new, you're all going to have some kind of a role to play, and that's a good message to send to us as legislators. We're ready to do that. We're ready to work together in a bipartisan way, which is a word we hear a lot about in politics, bipartisanship. But in this case, it's not just a word. It's it's the action that's being taken by the board leadership, and I'm really happy about it. I'm glad to be a part of it now in the leadership position that I have for this term. I'm looking forward to working with everyone. I think we're going to have a very successful term, and we're going to get a lot done, and we're going to have a very good collegial relationship here on the board, and things are going to happen. So thank you for asking.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well said. Any legislators want to, by all means? Legislator? Sure. Madam Chair?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me say first, I didn't get the purple memo. If I had, I most surely would have been able to find something in my closet, because I think it's a good color, and this is a new look for the Westchester County Board of Legislators. It means that we are open for business, and we are going to do so in a very transparent and open and just working together, which is we've heard a lot about, but now we're really taking it to the next level. And I meet and greet my appointment as the committee chair for budget and appropriations with the same enthusiasm I would any post. And I just really, I have a pen behind my ear. Mr. Wishney tapped me on the shoulder and said, you have a pen behind your ear. I said, I know, I do. But I think it's indicative that I'm ready to get to work. I'm going to roll up my sleeves. And I know my blueprint will consist of, as the chairman identified, continuing to be cognizant that it's not our money, it's the taxpayers' money, and we have to be very careful. We have to continue to identify savings and efficiencies. But most importantly, and equally as important, we must do so without delay, with the greatest of efficiency, and do so in an expeditious manner. And so that will be my pledge, and I look forward to working with a very talented and dedicated group of legislators as we move forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well said. Madam Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There must be something in the air, because despite the fact that the chairman did not call me this morning, somehow I managed to pull the purple jacket out of my closet. Life as we know it would be absolutely impossible without an infrastructure that works properly. Everything from our roads and bridges that allow us to get to work and school in the morning, to our running water, to the waste treatment system that has made cholera a term for the history books. We really do need to make sure that our infrastructure is in very good shape. Our country as a whole is facing very serious challenges with infrastructure in many respects and in many areas, including high-tech areas such as the Internet Superhighway and airports. We are becoming, in many respects, a laughingstock, even in places like sub-Saharan Africa that we don't often think of as being technologically advanced. We have a lot of work ahead of us. As everyone has pointed out, we only have a limited amount of money, but the fact remains that if we don't regularize maintenance of our infrastructure again, the way we used to before everybody took deferred maintenance as a great gimmick for saving money in their operating budgets, we are going to be facing crisis after crisis after crisis. So I look forward to working with my colleagues on this floor and my colleagues on other floors in this building to make sure that all of our capital projects get properly analyzed, the due diligence is done, that the meritorious projects get passed and in the correct order. At the same time, we do need a more proactive approach, and part of the luxury of no longer having a super committee of government operations, I can take a little bit more time to look more strategically in terms of making sure that we are doing what we can to make regular maintenance a more regular thing, to make sure that we have an overall strategy for our capital projects that makes sense, to make sure that the relevant departments, especially the Department of Public Works, is properly staffed to do the big job that they have. So, like my colleague legislator Marcotte, I can't wait to get started, and I look forward to talking to all of you about these issues again soon. Thank you.
Excellent. Well said. Madam Chair.
Thank you. I just want to say briefly that when I ran to be the next county legislator for District 7, I spoke of my desire to work on environmental issues, and I was just hoping to be appointed to the Environmental Committee. Never did I imagine that as a freshman legislator I would get to chair the Environment and Energy Committee, but I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to be doing this. We have a lot of work ahead of us to address the issue of climate change and all that goes with it, including flooding, and I see that coming directly from my committee. I will be hitting the ground running. I have made a laundry list already of issues that I think that we can get some legislation going on. I have reached out to the environmental advocacy groups within the county to partner with them and get their wish lists, and I see this as a very fast-moving legislative committees. So I'm very excited. It feels like Christmas has come again for me this year. So thank you very much.
Well said. Thank you. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. First of all, I'm so pleased to be here with all my 16 other colleagues, and we're here to work for the people of Westchester County to make life better for everyone in Westchester County, and that is what I'm here to do. While I'm new to the county legislature, obviously I'm not new to the legislative process, having served 14 years on the White Plains Common Council, 7 years on the White Plains School Board, and I bring a wealth of business experience, having been in executive positions for 20-some years in the business world. I'm chairman of the Appointments Committee, and I really look forward to that because really we will be vetting those individuals that come forward from the county exec and evaluating them. Also, the appointment committees make sure that we have many individuals that work on our various boards and commissions. And as the chair said earlier, we have in a bottoms-up approach. We have very many people involved in this county in numerous capacities, and we want to make sure that we have wonderful people working to help us better this county. Also, the Appointments Committee also makes appointments to the Westchester County Board of Trustees for the hospital. So we have a lot of work to do. I've already met with the former chair, Legislator Shimsky, and found out about the Appointments Committee, the things that are going to be going on there. I've got ideas how we can move it forward, and I'm ready to get to work. In fact, when the budget was announced, I'd have to say, I showed up that afternoon for a first budget meeting. They said, "Why are you here?" I said, "I'm here for the budget meeting." They said, "Oh, didn't anyone call and tell you it had been canceled?" So I was working even before January 1st, and I'm all in, and I look forward to working with all of the legislators for a better Westchester County. Thank you.
Very good. Well said. Mr. Wishney.
Good morning. I'm kind of excited to be here again with my friends. All of them are dear friends behind me. For the past 2 years, we've had 23 members of our community, independent citizens, working on examining the Westchester County Charter. It's the first time in 25 years that this process has taken place. We've come up with dozens of recommendations. Everything is in writing. It appears on the County Board of Legislators website for citizens to review. But we only have 5.5 months left for us to examine those recommendations, for the Board of Legislators to consider them, to write those legislative processes that would have to be put into place to accept some of these concepts. Some of them are very important. And in the news in the last few days, ethics is one of them. We have a recommendation on ethics. We have a recommendation on changing the budget year for the county. Doesn't sound like much, but it's a major undertaking. There's a lot of exciting things for the Board of Legislators to review. Looking forward to educating them to the best we can, and hopefully, at the end of the day, to make some changes that are long overdue. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll certainly take questions, but did you hear it? If you listen carefully, I don't think anybody missed it. We heard some excitement. We heard hit the ground running. We heard some focus that might even be in a slight contrast to some other focus, and that is healthy. Because as we had said and will continue to say, and I'll continue to say, nobody's checking their party registration, nor their ideals at the door. We have a lot of work to do, and if we artificially try to squelch people's ideas and how to be a representative, no one wins. Everybody, as the majority leader indicated, now has the opportunity to bring their A game, and thank you very much to each and every of the chairs that are here and the chairs that are not, equally excited and equally looking forward to hitting the ground running, and hopefully next week or very soon we'll actually start with the committees themselves. So at this point, we'll take any questions if anybody has any.
Certainly with the new focus on bipartisanship, how are you going to, you mentioned that someone's going to check their party or ideological differences at the door. How are you going to deal with the fact that there will be differences?
Around the table. We're going to make our decisions, we're going to make our discussions, we're going to come up with our final work product in committee, in discussions, legislator to legislator. These discussions, frankly, belong in a boardroom, not in a courtroom, and we're going to work very, very hard to bring about the compromise through this procedure of bipartisanship and the opportunity to work together. We have this board, when you look at the report card, 90 to 95%, I've heard even higher, of all matters that we deal with on a regular basis are bipartisan, in fact, are nearly unanimous. There are some issues that are higher profile, and we have differences. We're going to talk them through. And so this process allows for that natural maturation of those discussions without the artificial squelching of what the representatives need to do and professionally, in fact, will do. All right, we're all set. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. All set.
Sure. Mike?
Nice words.
Thank you.